Hello everyone, I am Oishi and today I'm going to talk about how I tried to read a true crime book and in response it really tried me. So this video is later than I thought I would be, and it's also not about the books I thought it would be about, but the book it is about I just finished and I kind of need to talk about it right now because it's in my head, so I hope it's okay. So the book I'm going to talk about is really popular actually, and it has over 200k ratings on Goodreads and the average rating is 4.1. So actually most people really loved it. I didn't, and that's what I'm going to talk about. I And there are like a couple of catches because one, it's true crime, and two, the author died before finishing the book, so it's actually kind of by a dead person, so there are a few catches and I hope I don't offend anybody. So the book is called I'll Be Gone in the Dark, One Woman's Obsessive Search for the Golden State Killer. Now, the Golden State Killer was a serial criminal, serial rapist and murderer that operated in California and up and down the coast in different cities, counties, whatever. And there is I didn't like that this book, but half of it is on me because I really messed up, and it was a disaster from start to finish. I'm going to elaborate a bit because that's necessary. So this book came out in 2018, right? And that's when I heard about it, when it came out, or after a few months then it came out. And then I thought, okay, this really sounds interesting and it's getting a lot of good reviews, so this is what I am going to read next. So I got the book. But as we know, what happens with readers is we get books but we don't always read the books, we all know that. So what happened was I didn't read the book in 2018 or 19 or 28 to 2020, 2021, and that, like, 4 years passed. But then this year somehow the title of this book, or this book, got mentioned in something or somewhere that reminded me of it, and I thought, okay, I still have that, so I'll give it a go. And actually, as far as I can remember, when I got the book, I kind of started reading it and I read like a few pages, but I didn't continue because something more enticing came along. Either way, so the thing that I did that really doomed me from the beginning, and that was, I understand that this is completely my fault and this is not the book's fault at all, but it really affected my enjoyment of the book, and that is I did not read the blurb before starting the book, right? I read the blurb in 2018, I'm sure. Whatever I read about this I forgot, and in 2022 I just remembered that this is a true crime book about a woman who was just a layperson like you and me, but he dug deep in the Golden State Killer case and she found a lot of interesting stuff. Now, I know this is really crazy, but I thought the killer was going to be caught, and that is what the book is about. Like, I thought this woman with her investigative journalism uncovered some amazing truth or clues or connections, and using that the killer was caught, and this book is the journey of catching the killer from using this material from the investigation. And that it actually royally effed me over because the whole book I was reading under one assumption when it was really another, because they don't actually catch the killer in this book. When this book was written, the killer was not caught, and that's not what the book is about at all. It says right in the subtitle that it's about one woman's obsessive search of the book of the killer, so it's really about the search. And I effed myself over because I was reading the book and I'm just thinking that, okay, I'm reading towards a resolution, and this is when everything starts to come together and this is when the reveal will happen. It didn't happen because it wasn't supposed to, and it wasn't until like the last chapter that I had figured out that, okay, they didn't catch the killer. And I am not one of those people who kind of takes a peek in the last page or in the middle of the I mean, I don't like to know the ending. I like to discover the ending as the way it was intended, so I didn't really Google anything while I was reading it. So what ended up happening was I had a very different I went into it with very different expectations that I was supposed to go into it with, and I that really affected my enjoyment, because when you're thinking you're gonna get a resolution and then you don't, it's really not, I mean, it's really unsatisfying. It's like, wow, all of these descriptions and case connections, and this is for nothing because we still don't know anything. And yeah, and it was really, I mean, it's not even, we found some stuff out that okay, maybe this is what the killer is, and we still haven't found the person, but we have a profile. We didn't have anything, we just had theories, and it really bothered me in the sense that I couldn't enjoy the, like, I couldn't enjoy the ending of the book at all. The second way I effed myself over, I mean, like I said, I didn't read the blurb, and I did not know that the author has passed away. Now, Michelle McNamara was actually, before I start talking about that, I also want to mention something that is in the book, very early, and that further misled me. That one is not my fault. Yeah, because in the book there is a very early in the book there Michelle McNamara is an actor's wife, and she describes in a chapter very early in the book that she is in some Hollywood event and she gets some alert in the phone, and that alert says that some man in the mountain has been gunned down by the FBI, and she gets really excited. She calls one of her friends and she says, oh my god, Pete, we were right all along. They have gunned down some mountain man and they have fingerprinted him, and it's Joseph Henry Burgess. And his friend also freaks out like, oh my god, yeah, we were right. And she also gets really flustered and wants to go home and research and stuff. Now this is very early in the book, and you tell me, was I supposed to know that whoever this Joseph Henry Burgess is, it's not the Golden State Killer? Did you all know? I mean, I don't know if I was supposed to know or not. Maybe it's really common knowledge that Joseph Henry Burgess was a mountain man that was caught, and he was like some other kind of criminal, but he wasn't the Golden State Killer. And I mean, when I read the chapter, I thought, okay, so they caught a man in the mountain and he has been name dropped, and the author also said that we were right, we knew he was out there, so maybe this is the Golden State Killer, and that means he has been caught. Yay. And it's very, I mean, it's kind of weird to give that up so early in the book, but at the same time, yay, we are now going to find out how they caught him. And nope, the Joseph Burgess, whoever this is another dude. He was not the Golden State Killer, and I thought he was, so I was even more reinforced in the assumption that they catch the killer in this book. And now that I know that they don't do that, they don't catch the killer, I'm really puzzled that why was this chapter in this book at all. That it came out of really nowhere and then it went nowhere. So why mention a random man and random friend that the author calls? I mean, anybody's guess, because I don't know. I mean, the thing that I can assume that it was put there to illustrate that how the author is really different, because she would rather be searching killers than attending Hollywood events. But that wasn't necessary, because that's plenty clear from the book, and I don't even know, man. So yeah, that now about the author, I didn't know that she has passed away, and throughout the book there are chapters that says that this has been put together from Michelle's notes, and this has been put together from Michelle's drafts, and I was puzzled. But I thought maybe the author really, she is an investigative she's an investigator in her, like, as a layperson, but maybe she is not comfortable writing, so so this has been helped by the editor. So that's what I thought. And when in like the last chapter it mentions that okay, then Michelle died, it just says that she has died. It doesn't say how or like when. It's very, I mean, I was really shocked and very wrong-footed, like, oh my god, what is going on, the author is dead now. I mean, it was really, I mean, disorienting and wrong. I was very wrong-footed. I understand this is my fault, this says that in the blurb of the book, but I didn't read the blurb, so that's how I butchered my enjoyment of the book myself. And also after the killer dies, after the author died, some part of the book is written by her friends and researchers of the case. And then I kind of got my hopes up again that okay, I have been reading this book for a while and it's starting to seem like they don't really catch the killer from the writer's language, but maybe that's because she died before finding out. But the people that are continuing the book now, maybe they know. So now I will find out. No. So I mean, it was a complete disaster from start to finish because I was reading under completely different expectations and assumptions that were not true. So this part of the problem is me. I understand. I did not do my due research, but the rest of my non-enjoyment is completely on the book because it's a mess. Now I understand that this has been written by a woman who is now dead, and the woman's or the author's husband, who is an actor, he put a lot of effort into getting the book out, as far as I understand. So when I criticize the book, I am about to do that. I don't mean any disrespect to them personally. Whoever worked on the book, I understand that they put a lot of effort onto it and they just wanted to produce a book for people's enjoyment, but and also wanted to help the case. But I just want to be doing my job as a book reviewer and also not want to offend anybody. So I don't mean anything in a personal way when I say that this book is a complete mess and I did not like it. There, I said it. So the main problem that I have with the book, and this is actually the crux of the matter, as they say, the main problem is this book has zero structure. It's so freaking messy. It's so messy, I can't even describe it for you because it just jumps all over the place. So I'm just going to read some chapter titles so you know what I mean. So the first is it goes by some locations. So it's Irvine 1981, Dana Point 1980, Hollywood 2009, Oak Park, Sacramento 1976-1977, Visalia, then Orange County 1996, then Ventura 1980, Irvine 1986, Ventura 1980, Goleta 1979, Goleta 1981, Orange County 2000, and Contra Costa 1997. So you understand how the timeline is jumping all over the place, right? It's not linear. It's not from earliest to latest. It's not from latest to earliest. It just jumps around. Like, I don't understand why this was done this way, because it's just a complete mess of a structure. And you are talking about one person and one person's crime, right? And the Golden State Killer, by the way, this name is given or was given by the author. The criminal was also known as the East Area Rapist and the original Night Stalker. So I also listened to the audiobook for some of the parts, and the narrator called him Ear, so I would sometimes call him Ear. Anyway, so the Ear, a criminal, actually operated in the same state, in really similar places, and he progressed, right? First he was a night stalker, then he was a prowler, then he ransacked homes, then he graduated to raping and murdering. So there is a natural progression for the story to go. So why not go that way? I don't understand. And if you're trying to start with the shocking stuff, maybe start with the latest crimes and then journey back earlier. But the structure in this has no meaning. And even worse is when, let's say, we have talked about some crimes in 1980 by this criminal, and then we're starting to talk about 1976, and then the author would say something like, yeah, he stole a bike and he ran away, and he also did this in 1986. And I was like, hey, we were just talking about that. So wouldn't it have been better if you would mention that there, and now that this has happened again, we could kind of draw a connection that, hey, yeah, this was mentioned before, now this is happening again. But no, that wasn't, I don't really understand how this was arranged. I mean, it jumps all over the place with any rhyme or reason, and it was very, very, very confusing and really annoying to keep up with all that. First, so that is actually my, like, that is the summary of my problem with this book, because when I understand that this is non-fiction, but I believe that when you are reading, sorry, when an author is writing a book, whether it's non-fiction, whether it's like self-help or pop science or anything, there has to be a structure for the reader to like linearly follow a narrative that is easy for the reader to follow. That doesn't exist in this book, and it was very not fun to try to keep up. And secondly, since the criminal is the same, a lot of the crimes are the same, so when he did something in this area and then we're talking about another location and he also did the same things, it gets kind of repetitive. Secondly, there are like a couple of chapters in the book that I didn't really care for. One of them is just the one I mentioned, that the Hollywood event thing, and there is a couple of things about the author's personal life. I understand that this has a relevance because the author was inspired to become sort of an investigative journalist sort of person, because she actually had an unsolved murder in her area when she was growing up. So I understand that, but those chapters really goes into detail about her family and her mother and her father and her sisters and her neighbors and her friends and her ex crushes, and I was like, okay, this is too much, and I didn't sign up for this. So I understand I kind of sound like a fish right now, but I didn't sign up for that kind of family drama, tragedy, not even tragedy, just family drama kind of stories, and however personal they are, so I didn't think they have any place in this book. And lastly, this might be controversial because I understand that this book is super loved and praised by people, and I understand that this helped bring a lot of attention to the ear case, but at the same time I believe that it really didn't, as the author Michelle McNamara didn't have any special or particular insight into the case that enhanced the descriptions of the cases were fine, but it wasn't enhanced by any insight or any special investigative nuggets by her. Now, she was kind of obsessed with the case. I understand the use of the word obsession is it's not really always a positive word, but I can definitely say that she was obsessed, because she actually herself mentions that her husband is an amazing gift giver, and for their anniversary he always gives him and has given him for the past 2 years amazingly customized gifts that are very thoughtful. And she says that, yeah, but the Golden State Killer has taken over my life and I have forgotten to even get him a card. So you understand that she was obsessed, right? And see, she was on this case for like 3 years. She paid money to get case files released to her. She spent time, she spent energy, and she kind of dedicated herself to the case. But I felt like if I or you were to do that, if we had the kind of inclination or even luxury to take a time off to kind of get into a case like this for 3 solid years, and if we gathered material, we would have the same kind of thought that the author has had in this book. And there wasn't really any specific wisdom or insight that comes from the author herself. She just talks about the case descriptions and how the year cases has affected the investigators involved with the case, and she is friendly with the investigators. And she also includes something when they were visiting the locations of the crime with the investigator, and they exchanged theories. And the Golden State Killer has been caught, by the way, after this book came out. It was done by good old DNA matching. It wasn't really any special clue like in the movies, but because of course it wasn't. And I am very glad that people and the victims' families have closure now, and I have closure now because this book has no ending. But it wasn't really the theories they exchange in the book. Now that the killer has been caught, we can see that those theories were mostly wrong. Everyone believed that the killer was from California, from Sacramento. That part is true, but the other theories that maybe he was like a real estate person, maybe he had an airplane, none of these were true. So and another thing is, sometimes things would just be like left open. to give you an example, Michelle and another investigator of this case were talking, and Michelle, the author, saw that there were a lot of reports of like there were a lot of burglaries and prowling in those areas, and people didn't call the police. And she asks the investigator that I can see that there is a like lot of crimes going on, but none of these people has called the police ever. None of this was reported. Then why? It was just found out after the like murder or rape. And the investigator and the like the writing in the book goes on to be that the investigator doesn't answer because it's just nothing to him. It's just another thing in the long list of things that went wrong. So that's your explanation. I mean, later in the book it says that when there were more murders, people kind of became insular and turned another eye to the problems, but that's later in the timeline. But earlier in the timeline, when people are not reporting anything, there is no answer, and there is no answer from the author, but there is no answer from the investigator either. So why was it even there? And in the end, like at the end of the book, there is an epilogue that is a letter to the killer from the author. Now the letter is weird to me because first of all, it's written very beautifully and poetically. Second of all, it has kind of like not praises, I don't want to say praises, but kind of praises to the killer, like you were a voyeur, but you were really uncatchable. Everyone, you were in the lead, nobody could catch you. And it kind of it read a little weird to me. And then it ends with either a threat, because it says that DNA matching is here and you won't be in the dark for long, so you can't hide anymore. But then it starts to sound like an invitation for a confession, that walk into the light and show us your face. So the whole thing was, I mean, I understand the author's need to write it, because as I said, she was obsessed with the case and this unknown killer, so she felt the need to kind of address the killer personally and write a letter. But as a reader, I felt like this was unearned by the killer, because he doesn't deserve to be written a beautiful letter with like all his rapes and murders and descriptions and such. So I don't know, it felt the epilogue of the book left me in a weird place. There is a foreword by Gillian Flynn and an afterword by the author's husband, the actor. If you don't know the name of the actor, if you watch the popular sitcoms, you've probably seen him, by the way. Anyway, I didn't read the foreword or the afterword, but yeah, that's how my experience of the book was. If I have to say one good thing about the book, it focuses on the victims a lot, but of course there are a lot of victims of the criminal, and how the victims that are in this book are chosen is anyone's guess, because it's of course completely random and messy. But yeah, the victims were focused on for a good part of the book, or for some part of the book. And we know with serial killers, what happens is they get all the notoriety, but still they are in the public eye and they have the cool nickname, but the victims are forgotten, and we don't want that. So I'm glad that we got to focus on the victims, and the author actually writes about them with compassion. And the writing is okay, by the way. I didn't think it was great, I didn't think it was bad, it was just okay. So that was my experience reading this book. I understand that this is a very popular book, and I maybe if you're watching this video right now, maybe you really loved it, and now you're just in your mind like, oh my god, you're crazy, you don't understand anything, this is a great book and you're an idiot. So if you are thinking that, that's okay. I just hope I'm just talking about my experience right now, and I just hope I didn't offend anybody, especially with the special circumstances surrounding the book. And if you have enjoyed it, that's great, and if you haven't read it and are considering picking this up, that's also great. But I just tried to describe to you what you get with this book. You don't get resolution, you don't even get a lot of good insights, you just get a lot of the descriptions of the crimes that the Night Stalker did, in original Night Stalker did, in kind of atmospheric language that the author was aiming for, that is meant to scare you a bit. But yeah, that's about it. It's just the great case descriptions and some theories, and it's very, very, very messy. Yeah, so that's the review for I'll Be Gone in the Dark. I hope you enjoyed this content, whether you agree with it or not, and I hope I will be back soon with the Peter Swanson book reviews that I promised. And if you find my content worth supporting, then please support by liking and subscribing. That is a huge help. Thank you so much. Bye.